The puppeteer's intention and the puppet. The puppeteer's intention and the puppet. Today you are free. So the puppeteer told the puppet, you are free today. Okay, let us quickly look at the scripture. Mark chapter 10, verse 42 to 44. Mark chapter 10, verse 42 to 44. In our phraseology, sometimes we use the book the puppeteer gave to the puppet to help us understand some aspect properly. Mark chapter 10, verse 42 to 44. But Jesus called them to him and said unto them, Ye know that they which are accounted to rule over the Gentiles exercise lordship over them, and their great ones exercise authority upon them. But so shall but so shall it not be among you. That was a command. But so shall it not be among you. But whosoever will be great among you shall be your minister, and whosoever of you will be the chiefest shall be servant of all. Can the aliens be servants to Africa? Will the aliens be ready to minister true ministry to Africa? Mm-mm, mm-mm. The aliens, the colonizers, the Westerners, the puppeteer. The puppeteer only understands the verse 42 of the book of Mark, chapter 10. He only understands and believes and uphold the verse 42 of Mark, chapter 10. And he expected the puppet to be faithful to verse 43 and verse 44. To verse 43 and verse 44. He expects the puppet to be faithful to verse 43 and verse 44, but he, as the puppeteer, only believes and uphold and trusts in verse 42. So the puppeteer told the puppet, you are free from today. Your independence is sure, because he that the Son of Man has set free or has made free is free indeed. They are familiar. The puppeteer is familiar with the verse or with the book, John chapter 8, verse 36. The puppeteer is familiar with the book, John chapter 8, verse 36. But they, or the puppeteer himself, acts in the opposite way to the very book that he knows because he's familiar. He brought the book to the puppeteer, so he is familiar with those biblical verses. But he functions and acts directly opposite to what he has as content of that book. This is the lifestyle of the aliens. This is the lifestyle of the colonizer. This is the lifestyle of the Westerner. The colonizers act just like the puppeteer. They are familiar with the scriptures, but they are direct opposite of the religion they brought to Africa. Their religion, their politics, education, economy is encoded with perpetual slavery. Their religion, their education, their politics, their economy, they are all encoded with perpetual enslavement for the African child. So if you go study their philosophies or their educational system, which of course we all study, and you so much believe that which you've studied, you will never come out from slavery. You just need to understand that whatever you've studied as a scholar, African scholar, you've studied the Western educational system or the Greek philosophies given to us as our system of education. You've studied that so that you can use everything that you studied in their educational plan. You can use that to transform Africa and return back the glory of Africa to Africa. You must understand that. But if you just want to walk with them the way they gave it to you in the university, you will not come out from that slavery. And that is why we have so many educated African children, leaders in Africa, that have read so wide, but yet they are also part of the people enslaving the fellow African child. We have them in our educational system, uh, making the students to give them monies before they could pass their courses. We have them in our economical sector. We have them in our political sector. All the leaders, political leaders. The truth is that the African leaders are not supposed to be called leaders because they don't act like leaders. Because they have so much believed, all the learned, all the skills, all the cunning methods have learned in their educational system, they are applying that on the African child. So they are doing a lot of things that do not align with the standard or the norms of the African society. That is just the life of the puppeteer and the colonizers. So the puppeteer told the puppet, once again, the puppeteer told the puppet, you are free, but you will need to sign these documents of your independence. The puppeteer told the puppet, you are free indeed, but you will need to sign this document of your independence. Congratulations once again, you are a free man today. Your independence is sure. Congratulations. But you need to sign this document that defines your independence. In it, you will need to always, you will need to always save about 85% of your income, gains, finance, earnings into my global bank. Into my global bank. My cousin, my brother that studied global banking will help you manage the 85% that you have saved in my global bank. Congratulations once again. Be happy. You are free from today. I will not interfere in your management processes. You are free, but do not forget, don't forget, you are to save 85% of your earnings, of your income, of your finance, of your resources into my global bank. And my cousin, my brother, my cousin, my brother, my fellow brother, or my fellow puppeteer will help you manage the resources. Congratulations. Amazing. The puppet happily signed. The puppet happily signed the perpetual slavery document, which the aliens or the puppeteer called document of independence. This is a story that tells what the colonizers did to the African nations that they colonized. Documents were signed. Don't forget, you might not know or you might want to argue that this is just the truth. Documents were signed on the day of independence. And if you don't know, you need to know this. These are hidden codes that comes alongside with colonization. So, all colonized African countries legally had a deal ignorantly with the colonizers that a great certain percentile of their income, their resources, or their earnings, or their gain is to be saved in the aliens global or world bank. And that is why they can always give out loans to distressed countries. Of course, you know that is the banking system. If you don't have monies in their bank, they cannot give you loans. That you must understand. I don't work in a bank, but I understand that even the banks in our countries cannot give you loan until you have an account with them. Is that not so? Is that not so? I don't work in a bank. Except it is a grant that you want to collect, but that I want to believe that even in the grant, you need to have an account with a certain bank that they will put in your grant for you. But I know too well that you cannot get a loan from a bank if you don't have savings, if you don't have account, if you don't have your money saved or kept in that bank. Because it seems somehow they will need to look at the amount of money you have with them before they will decide the amount of loan they can give to you. So that if you are unable to meet up with payment, they can always use what you have with them to replace the loan. Isn't it so? This is the formula used. So if you are not aware, you should be aware today that all the colonized countries are put in this state that their earnings, their income, whatever they get, there is a certain percentage of the monies that are put or kept in the World Bank. That is why they could always give loans. The aliens or the puppeteer is always ready to support the puppet because the puppet actually saved 500 naira in his global bank, and he only allowed the puppet to have two pieces of 100 naira, which is 200 naira. So, and all this while the puppet believes that he has more monies than the puppeteer, but it's not so. So the puppet's money is in the puppeteer's global bank, about 500 naira. So if this one got finished, if this particular 200 naira is finished and the puppet is distressed, the puppeteer tells the puppet, I am going to loan you money and you pay an interest. So I'll give you loan and you pay the interest of this percentile. So the puppeteer gives the puppet a loan, for example, of 200 naira and make him pay an interest that will be close to or even more than the 200 naira he collected. So the puppeteer is gaining now, has begun investing, is conning skills. So whenever he gives you loan, you pay more than or close to what he has given to you. And that will now make the puppet to keep on piling for himself a debt that he cannot pay. So many countries today are owing the colonizers. Nigeria is not out of it. All the monies the previous government or leaders borrowed, the incoming one will strive to pay. And in the course of striving to pay, he will not be able to do other things ideal in his own community or in his own country. So the more he tries to pay, he still has a workload to deal with in his country. And he will not look at the workload, look at the cry of the citizens. He will also need to borrow another one. So you keep on borrowing, keep on borrowing. This was the money that you have given to them. So every colonized country has a certain percentage saved or kept in the World Bank, and it is the colonizers that manage the money, not the Africans. It is the colonizers that manage the money. So this is one of the reasons why African leaders find it so difficult to run their administrations without seeking for the support or envisioning support from the colonizers. So they're always envisaging that the colonizers or the puppeteer will assist us with the different structures that they have put in place. There are different structures that the puppeteer has put in place that if the puppet need any assistance or support when he's distressed, he should run to those structures to ask for support. While he always tends to watch the structures render out the support. So the puppeteer has laid down uh, multi-global or international structures that all the enslaved people or the colonized countries or the puppets will always run to for support. So he always stands and gives them directives. Please check that one properly. The money he gave us when we gave them independence was not much compared to what he's asking. Please check carefully, check his account properly. Check that one carefully, please. Check. Please. Don't give out money anyhow, please. You must be wise. You must be wise, please. You must be wise. Don't forget, we are building our economy from their own economy. We are building our world from their own resources. So you must be wise. So if you're giving them loan as a support, so you should first of all find out, are they having any natural resources in their community, in their society, in their world that we could also invest or invest in to take to our own community? Please find out those things properly. So if you give them loans of maybe 200 billion, you should be able to understand that they're going to give us barrels of oil in our own community, and they'll still pay interest. So please check those things and put those things, because right now they are desperate. Their society is going through hell. People are crying, so they actually need the money desperately. So you must check those things and ensure you use their desperation to hold them into more captivity, because they would never be able to pay the monies we give them. So keep on giving them, but ensure we harvest their resources to our own world. So this is the formula used. This is the formula used. This is the reason, one reason why African leaders cannot do without seeking for support from them. Look at the recent stuff. Look at the recent stuff. In Niger, ECOWAS is seeking that EU should support them. Look at Niger, also seeking that Russia should support them. So this is just the method used. So the aliens wouldn't let the African nations go, because the more they save in their global bank, the more they increase themselves. The more the African nations save in their global bank, the more they increase. So you might not know this, but this is the truth. This is what you must understand, that colonization is a complex, classified business of enslavement. Where did you ever get the notion from that the colonizer would travel all the way from his own place, his own land, sail through waters, such a distance to come to Africa, discover wonderful natural resources in Africa, and conquer areas in Africa, invest their time and their very little resources to build some structures in Africa with a plan of no harvest or gain? Where did you get that idea from? They'll come to Africa, build their little structures, and go back and say, we don't want to gain anything. Nobody does that. Nobody does that. So the puppeteer has asked the puppet to join his established unions or organizations. And as a result, the puppet cannot have a union of all his brothers or all his brother puppets. He has tried many, many, many times to get the brother puppet union, BPU, brother puppet union, to get it stand strongly. But all his trials has not yielded positively. Why? Because of the influence of the puppeteer established union. Could this be the case of the United Nations, UN, that has its headquarters in New York, USA? Could it be the case of the UN that has its headquarters in New York, US, and the 54 colonized African countries. Could it be the case? Because African Union up to date is not formidable, it's not strong, it's still having issues, struggles. Because the 54 countries in Africa, they are all members of the United Nations. And it is the colonizers that are the top ranking positions in these organizations. African child, wake up from your slumber. We've slept so long. We've slept so long. On a very serious note, we've slept so long. This is not fun. We have slept so long. We have slept so long. So long. There's no problem that our ancient fathers couldn't discover these things. There's no problem that our fathers were unable to discover these things. But it's time for you and I to wake up from our sleep, from our slumber, and start acting like true African children. We've gone to school. We've studied much about these people. We've read their philosophies. We've read their systems of education. We'll see how it works. And so many of us have traveled. Yes. So many African children have traveled to these countries and they have all seen, you've all seen how they treat the African people in their countries. This is not a new thing anymore. It is everywhere. Everyone should be aware of this. We need to wake up because the puppeteer's intention is not good for the puppet. The puppeteer's intention is that the puppet will remain a puppet all the days of his life. The puppeteer's intention is that he does not want to see the puppet breaking the chains that has to do with puppetry. No, that is the intention of the colonizers. They have established structures all through the world that it seems as if Africans cannot stand on their own, not until they get support from the structures they have established down. Yes. Hey, African child, you need to wake up. Let's start breaking the chains. Let's start destroying the chains of perpetual enslavement called colonization. We need to decolonize ourselves from every alienated colonialism and put in us a true Africanist or a true sense of Africanist. We need to wake up. We need to wake up. Don't forget to share, to like, to comment, and to invite people to be part of the Afro theology. We have to promote the values, the cultures, the tradition, religiosity, spirituality, and Africanness of the African child. Don't forget, the puppeteer's intention is never a good one for the puppet. May Shuku Okiki Abiyama, Obase Ibi New Pabi, on Lord bless you and keep you. See you